Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today on Masechtas Menachos daf Nun Gimel. We're going to begin on the bottom of Nun Beis Mid Beis by the new Mishnah, new parak. So the Mishnah says that Kol Menachos Bois Matzah. As this Masechta is called, when it comes to the mincha offering, every mincha offering is supposed to come from unleavened bread, and the only exception is chutz mechametz. When it comes to the carbon toida, in which we know that there are actually 40 breads, so there's 4 different kinds. Some of them are matzah, but some of them are chametz, as well as the shtei halechem on Shavuos that also came from chametz. And Rashi quotes, "Dechsiv al chalos lechem chametz u'shtei halechem ksiv chametz tiafena." Okay, and then the Mishnah says as follows: Shehin bois chametz. Ramer oimer hasaor bevadai lehen metuchan umachmetzen. So if let's say you have this sourdough, which is from the inside, what is this? So Rashi says like this: Metoich isarin de toida. With regard to the sarin of the toda and the shtei halechem, haimoitzi saor, they would make flour into yeast or sourdough, so they would have the right shiur. Shehu loshmin hatsoilus, they would knead it from the flour, ma'at, a little bit, acher shenibdad, while they measured, v'toimnoi b'soilus, and they insulated it there, umis chametz me'elav, it became chametz on itself, fermented. Umimenu machmetz hashar, and from that sourdough was able to make everything else the same way. So hasor bivadulahen metoichen umachmatzon. So again, they had this flour, and they put it in yeast, so that sourdough or yeast would cause the others to ferment as well. Rabbi Huda Omer Afhi Enu Min HaMuvchar. This is actually not the best way. He says Rashi Shenu Machmetzes Yafeh. Lafi Shein Sor Mechoimetz Yafeh, because it's actually not the best way of doing it. Ella maybe as a sor. Rather, you should take sourdough, but nosel toichamida, and put into the measure. And complete the measure. The problem is that it's going to maybe not be the right amount. Says Rashi, let's say the sor is thick, and it will mix with difficulty with just the small amount of water. Nimsa Yisorin Yasser. It will turn out to be more. If it doesn't mix well, if you put in a lot of water, Nimsa Navcho Gadol Mishilu Haya Kamak Nimsa Yisorin Chaser, Shimlu Bishul Hamayim Lu Haya Mole. So the Gemara, not today's stuff, is going to go into exactly this machlokus as to the best way that this should be done. So the Gemara asks the following question. It's based on the beginning of the Mishnah. So, Balmine Rabbi Preda Rab Ami. So the Mishnah just seems to know that every mincha is supposed to come from matzah. How do we know this? How do you know that's true? Manolan Dechsiba, it's written. Ksiba, Duluk Ksiba, right? Look at Rashi. Oysa mincha shekasuba matzah, kegain minchas ma'afe, minchas machvas, har ksiba, udulo ksiv, asa mahaikra, dikol chol menachos. Anything which is not written, we derive one from the other, that they all are made out of matzah. As we continue on with Zois taris mincha, hakrib oysa b'nei aron lefnei Hashem el pnei hamizbech, v'nei seris mimena yachluhu arnavan of matzos tiachel. So basically the kash is, what do you mean? How do we know this? We derive it either from psukim which say beferish or through drushes. Certainly mitzvah lokim boili. I'm not asking the kasha, the mitzvah of doing it in the, let's say, in a good way. Kika meboy la'akev. I want to know, how do we know that it's ma'akev, that if you don't use matzah, but if it's chametz, that it will be ma'akev? So amalei la'akev namiksiv. We also have psukim to support that. It says lo sefer chametz el matzah, right? It says beferish. So we have other psukim, and it's telling us it must be this way. So it's la'akev. So maskav Rav Chisda ve'ema lo sefer chametz el seor. What may be talking about in the pasuk is just don't use chametz. It may just be referring to chametz nuksha, which is the seor, the sourdough. Seor daman. So let's say, what seor are we talking about? What is the status of this sourdough? Is it considered like chametz? Is it considered like matzah? So this is Gemara in Pesachim. Either Rab Meir or Rabbi Yehuda matzah malyahi. According to him, seor, or let's just call it chametz nuksha, is considered to be matzah, and therefore that would be okay. Either Rabbi Yehuda or Rab Meir chametz malyahu. He holds that it's actually completely chametz. Either Rab Meir or Rab Meir midaloki le'al chametz who Yutaka would get malchus for eating it because on Pesach. Ella Rabbi Yehuda or Rabbi Yehuda. So when it's talking about this, or we're talking about the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda in accordance to Rabbi Yehuda. So you have to kind of go through. You really need to know the Gemara Pesachim a little bit better to understand what does that mean. But let's just look in Rashi. So there's a machlokas Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir. What exactly are the status of these different things? So look at Rashi. So order Rabbi Meir is kol shechsifu panav. That if, let's say, if face like changes color, the flour, it changes due to the heat. Rabbi Yehuda matzah malyahi. He holds that if it's shechsifu panav, that's still considered matzah. However, shiur seor de Rabbi Yehuda the hanu karnei chagavim literally means the horns of like locusts or grasshoppers. Basically, he says that you can already start seeing cracks in the matzah when it's more cooked. So then, according to him, that's considered to be chametz malya, right? So end up we saying it's Rabbi Yehuda or Rabbi Yehuda. Look at this Rashi. How can I say Rabbi Yehuda matzah malyi? Rabbi Yehuda or Rabbi Yehuda. So again, Rabbi Yehuda holds that seor is considered becomes the status of karnei chagavim, and that's what it's referring to. Okay, let's look at question TA. An unbelievable way to start a test. TA1. Listen to this. TA2 rather. Mahadin shir shechsifu panav le'inyan chametz b'pesach le'inyan menachos. But that's a good question. So what is the din when it comes to this? This is TA2. Shechsifu panav is a machlokas Rab Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. So according to one Mandi Rab Meir on Pesach you get malchus arboim. Upasul menachos because it's considered mamish like chametz. L'chad Mandi Omer habalei matzah gemura, right? And it's considered to be like matzah gemura. Mikomaka midarabanan aser bachil b'pesach, as Taisa says. Okay, shachsifu panav either is mamish like chametz. That's what he said over here. Ramer midalaki chametzu. So it's straight up chametz. Shechsifu panav. Okay, so that's the point. When it reaches the level of shechsifu panav, so there it's a machlok Rabbi Rabbi Yehuda, whether or not that is a status of mamish like chametz, and therefore you get malchus for it, and therefore certainly you could not bring that as a mincha. And according to the other shita, really it's like matzah, but as we mentioned, Tosfos brings down you can't eat it. Okay. Let's see where I can see that in Tosfos. Yeah, it says Lafik Ramei or Rabbi Yehuda mashma avol ba'achil aser. Right, you still can't eat it. Right, V'yishloim the rabbanon ba'almahu de aser minisharle l'kal b'shmamina matzamal yosihi. Okay. Anyway, so let's continue. Maskal b'Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak ve'ema lo siaf chametz el cholot. Maybe it's only talking about if it's scolded. Cholot ma'nihu. That's revicha. So revicha. Maybe the pasuk infers that the flour may be boiled in hot water. Idik revicha ksiba revicha. V'halo ksiba revicha. What do you mean? It can't mean that here because it doesn't say that. Rashi says it's b'mayim roischen with hot water. Rashi also says mincha shemitzvasa b'rekuva ksiv behedya merkvechas tehei shlos yafeh chametz. Ve'im nechsiv be revicha mitzvah revicha. Udalo kasa be revicha iboy revicha lesi iboy matzah lesi. Okay, so maybe that's what the pasuk is talking about. Maskal Ravina. Third question: Ve'ema lo sefer chametz will make him gaber b'lav ba'alma. Just means a person is violent a lav. V'yasuli lo mifsala, but it won't actually be puzzle if you brought chametz as a mincha. El menolan k'desan yamata yachol mitzvah tamad olemer tiyeh kasav kavachayiva. So the pasuk is telling you that no, it must be matzah. B'amine. Fine. Let's look at question 4, maybe. Elu kasav ksib minchas b'menachos matzah tiyeh manilman miksiv tiyeh. So one of the things that we learn out is it's la'akev. It has to be. Okay. All right. Let's continue though. B'amine Rav Preda Rav Ami Menayin l'chol menachos shenil shois b'poishrin, that we know that it has to be kneaded in lukewarm water in mishamran, and we have to therefore carefully watch it shel yachmitzu. So nilmadenim a pesach dechsev v'shmartem as amatzois. We know when it comes to the carbon pesach, the same thing. We have to be careful so it doesn't become chametz. So amalei begufa ksiv. You actually learn out from the pasuk itself. Matzah tiyeh hichye. That you should again keep a watchful eye on it, as Rashi says, hechshirena v'shamra. That's what it means in this context, and that's what you're supposed to do. So that's another. So that's what we learn out from these words. So this pasuk, as we see, is question 2. The thing that we learn out from tiyeh is it's la'akev, and also that you need to watch it because you have to engage using lukewarm water. So therefore, like when you are making matzah on Pesach, you have to be careful. Okay. Amli Rabban Rav Preda. So now we start looking at this great Rabbi Preda, Rabbi Ezra Barbari, the Rabbi of Tulas, to who Asiri Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah has brought down in Gemara Brachos also that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah was the 10th in line from Ezra Sefer. Do Asiri Ezra Koya Baba is coming to our location. So Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah Shiri Asiri Ezra Hasasefer. So Amr Maikuli Hai. So he's saying, what is this whole commotion? So Bar Orion who yay. If he's someone who is a Ben Torah, then that's good. Ibar Orion Ubar Abhain Yehei. So again, if let's say he's a Bar Orion, he's a Torah scholar, so is his family. V'i Bar Abhain Velo Bar Orion. So Isha Tichla. So let's say he is not a scholar. V'i Bar Avhoin, Velo Bar Orion. Let's say he's not a just because he's related, right? But he's not to Ezra, but he's not a Torah scholar. So Isha Tichla. So that's not a good thing. Like, why didn't his legacy and his yichus link him to also be a good person and going Torah and everything? Amrulay Bar Ryanhu. He's a Torah scholar. Amrulhu. So Leil, let him come in. Lesi Chazi Dehavi Achira Daite. And it wasn't clear, it wasn't seen regarding Rabbi Zera to Rabbi that he was had a cloud. His mind was cloudy. Pasuk Yomer, so he began to learning some Agadata. Amarta Hashem Adainiata, you, this is in Tehillim, Ata Tavasi, you have done good, Ba'alecha. So Amra Knesset Yisrael Lifnei Kadosh Baruch Hu. What is this pasuk saying? That the Yidden said to Hashem, Rabbanu Shalom, Hexically Taiva Shoda Ta'aticha. Do something good so that we should be able to see that we are one to you and very close. You're close to us in this world. Bi'olam Hazeh Bi'olam. So Amr Allah, so Hashem said, Tovasi Baal Alecha. No, Baal means not. I will not do good for you. Meaning, Eini Mechazik Taiva El Amr Mitzvah Yaakov. I'll demonstrate goodness to the Avos, Shodiani Tehila Ba'olam, because they're the ones that showed greatness and made me great in this world. So therefore, they're the ones that deserve that level of recognition, but not you. Shnemer L'Kadoshim Asher Ba'aretz Hema of Adiri Kol Chavtzi Bom. And the mighty ones, all those who are desired. Kivan Deshama the Kaimer Adir Pasach. Once he heard the word Adir Pasach v'Yomer, he said the following drasha: Yavu Adir, let Adir come, v'Yifrel Adirim, and he should give retribution to the Adirim, Ma'adirim, Ba'adirim. So what does that mean? Yavu Adir Zeh HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tersev Adir b'Modam Hashem v'Yifra le Adirim Elu Yisrael. So Hashem will go and pay back retribution to Yisrael. Shnemer Ba'adiri Kol Chavsi Bam. Ma'adirim elu hamitzriyim, that we were punished by the Egyptians. Dechsid salu ka'eferes b'mayim adirim, ba'adirim elu mayim, by the water. So Hashem will come and do retribution for the Yidden to the Egyptians in mayim. Shnemer mekos mayim rabbi madirim mishbar yom. So that's an interesting drasha. Yavu adir ben yadid v'yivni yadid liyadid. Bechelko shel yadid. V'yiskapru bo yadidim. So this is going to be question 5. Elu gimel ishim. Who are the 5 people in the Tanakh that we find are called the beloved ones, the yadidim? So Yavi Yadid zeh Shlomo HaMelech. So Shlomo HaMelech is considered to be yadid. The Chsiv says in Shmuel Beis of Yishlach biyad Nasan Hanavi, that it was sent in the hands of Nasan. Vayikra Shmo Yedidya Ba'avor Hashem. So that's it. Ba'avor Hashem. As we continue to Omid Beis, Ben Yedid Ze Avraham. So this is referring to Shlomo, and the Ben Yedid is Avraham. Dechsiv Mal Yedidi Bebeisiv V'Yivne Yedid Ze Beis HaMikdash. Let him build the Beis HaMikdash. Dechsiv, the Beis HaMikdash is called Yedid. My Yedida is Mishkan Secha. How beautiful are my dwelling places. Liyadid Ze HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Dechsiv Ashir no Liyadidi Bechelka Shel Yedid Ze Binyamin. In the Chelka of Binyamin is where the Beis HaMikdash was built. Shnemer LeBinyamin Omer Yedid Hashem Yishkan Levatach. Olav. The Skapru Bo Yedidim El Yisrael, that by going there will achieve kapara. Dechsiv Nosati Yesididos Nafshi Bekaf Oiveha. So that is the drasha. That basically answers all that question, that we find that Shlomo is considered Yedid, Avraham, as well as Bin Yamin. Okay, so that's going to be the answer to that question. So he continued to go do all these Agadic teachings, and we have another one. Yavo toiv v'kabel toiv v'toiv v'toivim. Let the good accept good from the good to good. So Yavo toiv is a Moshe. Moshe was called Tov, which some people say that's actually his name. Tov, Tov v'techsev v'tera oiso ki toiv hu v'kabel toiv. You should accept what is good. Zutayr dechsev ki lakatam nasatu lachem. The Torah is good. Metoiv Hashem is good. Zeh Kadosh Baruch Hu dechsev toiv Hashem l'chol l'toivim. Toiv l'chol l'toivim el Yisrael. Dechsev hativa Hashem l'toivim. Yavo zev yikabel zois. That's it. So therefore, the Torah will be given by Moshe to Hashem, from Hashem to the Israel. Yavo zev yikabel zois mizel amzu. So Yavo zev Moshe. Moshe zeh dechsev ki zeh Moshe ish. Yikabel zois, to accept this. Zutayru dechsev v'zois haTorah asher sam Moshe, which we say when we lift up by Hagba. Mizeh zeh Kadosh Baruch Hu dechsev zeh kelev anveyu. We amzu el Yisrael shenever amzu kanisa. So that's the drasha. This, Same thing. Rav Yitzchak Mishah Shechar of Beis Hamikdash, from the time that the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, Matzu HaKadosh Baruch Hu Avraham Shahayu Oime Beis Hamikdash. Avraham Avinu was actually at the Beis Hamikdash in its time of its destruction. Armelu Ma Liyadidi Bebesi. So he said, like, what's happening to my beautiful people in this house that's being destroyed? Armelu Al Iski Beni Basi. So he says, I'm coming here because of my children. So Hashem said, Banecha Chatu. Your children sinned. The goal. Now they're going to Golos. They're going to be exiled. So maybe there was a mistake. So on this, the pasuk Yirmiyah says, Soisa hamzimta. That is something which they plotted out, which is a language of not b'shoigig but mamish premeditated. Armelo shema miyutin chatu. Maybe it's only a small amount of yidin. Armelo harabim. Many of them. Haylachal was chor bris mila. How about the bris? So armelo basar kodesh yavru melecha, which means that even the most basic of mitzvahs they refused. Armelo shema im hamtanas lahem hayachayzim b'tshuva. Why don't you wait for them? Maybe they'll change. Armelo ki reichi oz taluzi. That this evil, basically, as Rashi says, b'shas alit soisa machasikim yoser. They're going to end up becoming even worse if I leave them alone. Miyad haniach yadav al roisho. He put his hand on his head. Vayetzaik. He was screaming. Ubaycha, and everyone was crying. V'yarmelo shemachas hashalom ein lehem takana. Maybe there's no improvement. So Yatsa Basko v'yarmelo, and so Basko said, Zayis ra'anan yafe, that the olive tree will be beautiful. Pritayer kara Hashem shemecha. So we're calling the yidden like a zayis. Ma zayis, just like this olive tree. Zu achriso b'soifai. It will be better at its end. So Av Yisrael achriso b'soifan. So too, there'll be a return for them from Golos. Says Rashi. Shenatu achshav. You plant it now, ve'enu toyin adzman gadol. It takes a long time for the olive tree to grow. V'achakach toyin peris harbe. Eventually, it'll end up giving fruits. So therefore, you should be happy with that. Lashon achar, Rashi says, Lashon achrina she'emes bashal ma'at kishar yelonos, doesn't produce small amounts. El b'soifa kulon yachad. All of them will be together. Okay. Lakoil Hamula, so this is all part from Sefer Yirmiyah. Gedoyla Hasisa Eishaleha, that there was a fire upon it. Ra Dil Yaisav, and the branch was broken. So Amar Rabbi Chanina Bar Papa Lakoil Milehen Shel Meraglim Nisrayu Dalisehen Shel Yisrael, because of the voice of the Meraglim. It caused the branches or the doors, everything to be shaken. Something very great was said to them. They